And the caladoc cuvee is usually the one that strikes everybody around the table, even the people who are not big wine drinkers.
We were talking about flavors a minute ago, and can we pick out 2, 3, 4 of your wines and just talk about the taste profile and how they were created, how they produced?
Absolutely. Alors, we can. I like to start with an original one. It's a cuvee which we called Number One Regain. Number One Regain. It's 100% Pinot Noir, and it's vinified in a natural way. So there is zero added fight. There is no fining. It's indigenous yeast, and the particularity with that, because you don't add any sulfite, you have a risk during vinification of oxidization, and because the wine is not protected. So to minimize that risk, you bottle it very early. Regain, we harvest end of August, and end of December, we bottle it. Because of that, you won't do very long vinification process or aging. And therefore, your wine here, we will have some very crispy, very fruity wine. We used to say in French, glou-glou. Glou-glou wine, you know, it's easy to drink. Glou-glou, 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 glou. So it's a kind of glou-glou wine.
Okay.
And I like this cuvee because of the freshness, and also it's low in alcohol, only 12.5 degree alcohol. So it's very easy. Then we do have the mother of Regain, which it's 100% Pinot Noir in a range we call Terre de Brau. And that one has a minimum of 1 year of aging in concrete tank. So the grapes come from the same plots, same harvest by hand. However, that one will take time to age. The aromas will be much more complex. The alcoholic perception will be stronger also. It will be more on the cherry, on the black, on the black cherry aspect, and the length is much stronger. So it's interesting usually to compare these two cuvées, because you can see that the vinification process gives you something totally different. Then we may talk about a funny a cuvée called the caladoc. So it's 100% caladoc. It's single varietal. Caladoc, it's a cross varietal between Malbec and Grenache Noir.
Okay.
And it's usually used in the blends, in some Côte du Rhône blends, Vaqueras, mainly they use a bit of caladoc. But very rarely you will see caladoc red alone. You can see caladoc as a rosé, but not alone. Here we have the chance to have a very fruity, like a black currant flavor. And we vinify it also on a concrete tank, with concrete tank, to keep the freshness. I don't want to blur the aromas with wood, so it remains very dark fruity, with a little bit of tannin, but not too much. And again, low in alcohol, 12.5. And the caladoc cuvee is usually the one that strikes everybody around the table, even the people who are not big wine drinkers. And maybe to finish, I have a particular crush on a cuvee called Méditation. Meditation, basically. I call it that way because it's one of the favorite. It's my wife's favorite cuvee, and my wife, she's a yoga teacher and traditional Chinese medicine doctor, so she's into that. And Méditation is a very delicate, elegant, light red wine, a blend of Syrah, which brings you the fruitiness with the pepper, and Fer Servadou. So Fer Servadou, it's one of these esoteric varietal that gives you a metallic feeling and a bit of rustiness. And the blends of two, it's amazing because it creates a third flavor, which is more on the pink grape juice aspect.
I see.
Voilà.
For several of those wines, you mentioned the low alcohol. What influenced your choice on that, or why did you choose to go in that direction?
What I see and what I like is that people are more and more inclined to test different things when they drink wines, or when they drink. Usually you like to have a beer maybe to start, and you want to have a glass of white wine, maybe you want to have a glass of red, and maybe a stronger red. To allow that, if you have too much alcohol, it will really change the perception and won't allow you to appreciate. Also, it's something that is demanded from the market. Many of my clients, distributors, importers, they are asking me for lowering alcohol. And it's also part of the DNA of our wines, because we are really doing very fresh wines. And when I do fresh, when I say fresh and easy to drink, it's also, I want something you drink one glass and you are able to say, I can drink the bottle. But you have some wines, it's so hard. It's like 14, 15, 15.5 degree alcohol. You drink one glass, you know you won't finish the bottle. But to reach that, you also need to harvest early. You need to harvest at nighttime.
Okay.
You need to play a lot with the leaves of the vines.
Okay.
Because you have to decide whether you keep the leaves or whether you remove it at a certain times in order to protect them from too much sun.
I see.
There are a lot of actions that will influence your capacity to reduce your level of alcohol.
And people have been listening to this and reading it and watching. And so obviously they're excited. They want to taste your wine. Tell us how to learn more about your winery. Tell us where we can go to buy your bottles and browse your bottles and learn more about the bottles themselves. Where can we find you?
So Brau Winery, it's the oldest organic winery in France, certified winery in France. We are exporting in 14 countries, Asia, Europe, and now we are starting in the US. We've been distributed in New York at Astor Wine on Lafayette Street. And as we speak, I'm developing the distribution in different states and expanding the distribution in New York. So we are in the early stage of distribution in the US. And the last time we met, I was in New York for that in order to meet real partners, the right partners, because that's like what you're doing. Our business is, or our partners, I may say, carry a story, and I need to. Everywhere we are successful is when we have a woman or a man who understood and is passionate as us on explaining the story and why we are doing that, and what we try, what is our DNA, what is our wine DNA.
Before we go, is there anything that we haven't discussed that you'd like to add to the conversation?
Just one small word on how the social network like Instagram have changed the relationship people have with wine and winery and winemaker. And we are quite active on Instagram. We have a Brau Wine account, and it's amazing to see how it has created connection and proximity, and a fantastic way for us to explain all the aspect of our business and what we are doing. And it's really interesting, and I think it has helped a lot of new wine drinkers to enter that, and new generation to have a different perception